The next area I'm going to work on, I'm going to keep growing out from there. I'm going to start with this lighter area around there. Now if it helps you, you can first kind of sketch out the areas that you're going to have. So I can see that this dark area is going to come up into a sleeve a little bit, create a shape, creates this V. So I can add that in there. So that's going to be my darker space. This is going to come down and go across like that. Okay, so some of the lines you originally drew might get moved, might get changed. Okay, and then I'm going to lighten those up so that I can see them while I'm working, but I don't want to be able to see them through my work. Okay, and then I'm going to start in the lighter areas because you can always add dots, but it's not so easy to take them away. So over here, right below this, I see that I have really light blue in this area here. So I'm going to space just a couple of dots in. Remember with the optical mixing, your eye is going to see that white of the paper and a few blue dots, and it starts to blend it together for you. Now along the edge of that, it gets a little bit darker. So I'm going to add a few more dots to my next kind of space that's moving out from there. And the same thing along the top edge. I repeat this over and over. You can always make it darker, but if you go too dark to start, you kind of have to figure out how you're gonna fix it, because you can't really take away as easily as we can add on. So you can always darken it up if you need to. Okay, and this is dark around this edge here. A little bit darker. And this area is going to fill in that same value. And then this is going to switch to more of this grayish blue right in here. Now as you go along, you're going to see there's some details that you may not be able to capture with the dots, that just don't work with this style of shading, and that is okay. So those are decisions that you're going to make as you go. So for instance, these little lines that are going up in his shirt, those light creases, that I'm not going to be able to capture, and that's going to be okay. So it's going to come over here. Now as I'm putting this on, the cap looked a little more blue-gray. I'm putting it on, it looks pretty gray. So I'm gonna have to make this a little bit more blue for what I need. So, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So if you're putting a color on and you're like, that's not what I was intending, I'm gonna go back in with this light blue. I'm gonna start to mix that around. And then as I look at that section, I say, that's still not dark enough. So I'm gonna add in this navy blue, especially coming out here from his armpit area. So by mixing those three colors, visually makes it more interesting to look at, but it's filling in more space also. So it's making that whole value a little bit darker. And as I'm looking, I'm going back and making those adjustments where I think I need it darker, and later adding more of my color in. Okay. So that is how I would continue on with that. And then I could keep going up the arm. So here I would take black, the light blue. I would do little areas at a time. We have this light V. If it needs to be white, that's the paper that's going to show through. But as you work on an area, it starts to come together. At this point, with just this little bit done, it doesn't exactly look like your picture or your reference, but it will get there, okay? So just keep going with the process and let it grow and see how it's working for you. But remember, don't just pick one color. You want to pick several colors for areas. Create those colors by layering them on top of each other. Space them out for lighter areas. cluster them together for darker areas, just like we practice on our worksheet.